arms race to draft a very strong mid-game team comp goes for both teams is, I like the first ban from Longzhu. Get rid of the Tahm Kench. Too many headaches when ROX Tigers can flex it between Smeb and Gorilla.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Smeb especially, bringing that one out in the top lane has just been crushing. KDA going to be a little bit skewed there, Frozen. Coming in the mid lane, having a 12.0 at the moment. Of course, limited games that he's been a part of, so take that one with a grain of salt. But Rek'Sai, Alistar, and Gragas from the side of the ROX Tigers, so keeping that one out of the hands of Crash. They're going to snatch up a very early Hecarim here, along with Sivir for Prey.
I mean, a lot has happened in this draft very quickly with these bans. So Nidalee getting through first game for Crash this season on the Nidalee. No way you can hand that over to Peanut.
This one's like a blessing and a curse for Crash, so we'll see how that's going to go.
I mean, he has the mindset for it. Also means the jungle matchup is most likely, at this point at least, with the Ghost selected by Peanut, going to be a strong ganking jungler against a jungler that's very much more item dependent, wants to farm, is a bit like Graves. The Hecarim, so wants to, when we last saw Peanut play this Hecarim, it was rushing the Trinity Force, so going for a very expensive build from the jungle. So it's surprising to see also Longzhu ban Vladimir. 5 games, no Vladimir ban. They ban it because they don't want to first pick it. They don't want to give it over to Kuro either for some comfort. But as the draft continues to develop, Nara is going to be the blind pick for top lane. It does also, to some degree, block out flexing the Hecarim's top lane. There's always been a very classic Hecarim counter matchup.
Yep, which means that this Trundle will be support in the bottom lane here for Pure. So going to be looking for that mid and 80 carry. Will be Lucian coming in for Fury, but look at this, Gorilla going back to this Taric, and then Rumble coming out yet again for Smeb. Not a pick that we've seen from him in the last couple series, but he was the first one really bringing Rumble back into the meta here in Summer Split, and has played it the most by far. And LeBlanc, this is a very fast draft coming out from these guys. So we'll have Victor in the mid lane here for Frozen going up against Kuro's LeBlanc.
Yeah, the only mid laner he's played apart from Karma has been the Victor in these 2 series that we've seen him play. Obviously, Kuro knows a thing or two about Victor himself, so his chosen matchup in the mid lane is going to be the LeBlanc. Going to be lane pressure in the mid lane. Interesting to see ROX draft the Rumble into Gnar. Gnar has always been seen as a strong laning matchup against the Rumble. Now, there are scenarios where Rumble can get ganks and get ahead, but Hecarim's probably not the best champion to do that. There is the outside chance that maybe a gimmicky level 2 gank where you can devastating charge behind, push him into the flame spitter, something can happen. But realistically, I think Expression's going to be in a really nice spot, and it'll be so exciting to see finally the return of Crash on Nidalee. We've only seen his Rek'Sai and Gragas, very much on the control jungler end of things. His Nidalee, at least based on spring season, is a sight to behold.
Yeah, but again, it's got a high risk, high reward on that one for him. So known to go in, get a double kill, and then just die to a jungle camp, something along those lines. So he does make those mistakes and gets over aggressive at times. So we'll see if he's able to kind of, you know, reel it back in, keep himself contained, and go out when it's actually advantageous for him and not suffer for it. So we'll keep our eyes on that one, but of course we got to keep our eyes on Prey. 12 kills away from hitting that 1,000 mark. Now with the Sivir having those ricochet crits, very possible that he could pick up those 12 kills in this series.
Yeah, lots to talk about these drafts, but no time to do it just yet. We'll wait to load into the game, but this is going to be an exciting one, Achilleos. Both teams drafting how they've been drafting recently. A lot of fun things to discuss when we get into it.
Yep, gotta say, I'm kind of surprised. Longzhu versus Tigers, didn't think I'd be this hype loaded in, but here we are. But let's go ahead and get right into game 1. All right, and it's going to be a Cloud Drake, so they had to bring the hype down a little bit.
Oh, finally we can breathe after a breathless champ select, for sure.
Have to just take a second to collect ourselves, but here we go. So Prey just going to scout out with that boomerang. Knows that he hit somebody, and Gorilla, that's interesting ward placement. No, not one that we usually see, just going to place it right there in the middle of the lane.
So Longzhu with drafting the Trundle in the same round as Gnar basically confirmed that Gnar was going to be top and Trundle was going to be support. We haven't seen a lot of support Trundle this season. One thing that did do for ROX, it made the Taric such a safe pick. One of the reasons we didn't see Taric in previous parts of the season is if you try to lane Taric against those ranged supports, that pesky Karma that was so popular a couple of weeks ago, you just take free damage. So you need to kind of be babied through the laning phase. You want to be facing the Broms of the world, the other melee supports. So Gorilla already showed and ROX showed they can very much enact very impressive turret dives.
Well, that's a damning stat to have.
It's also, yeah, I mean, that includes, of course, the Incredible Miracle days, but you don't do so well if you're Incredible Miracle. The LCK, in their history, so far they have been in the relegations 3 out of 4 times and 1 place away from relegations last season. So
Longzhu, with their improvement, might be able to add another non-relegation split onto that stat. So we'll see how they do. If they continue on this upward climb that they've had over the last 2 series, I think that there's actually potential for them to completely dodge out relegation. So we'll see what happens. At the moment, though, for CJ Entis, it's not looking so hot. For ROX, very much on the opposite end of that spectrum. They are safe as safe can be. All they need to do is finally beat SK Telecom in a final.
Well, that one is certainly to be determined. You have to think inevitably it will be the final, especially with KT struggling recently. They're probably the only other team that has an outside shot of making it to the final.
Samsung. I mean, Samsung's looked good outside of that last game, I would say.
Do you really think Samsung can beat ROX or KT in a best of 5, though? That's where I just don't see it.
ROX, no. KT, possibly.
There's an outside chance, so maybe they need a bit of help getting ROX out of the pool, but for now it looks like ROX and SKT will be first and second place, you'd imagine, but still 3 weeks of games to play. For this game in front of us, though, the big story is going to be Kuro, I think. He really needs lane pressure in the mid lane against the Victor, because inevitably Lucian is going to have that advantage in lane against the Sivir. The supports aren't going to change anything about that. Nara is expected to be able to push in Rumble, although for now, Rumble's in a good spot. And the Hecarim jungle certainly isn't going to be gank focused. So to me, the big variable is, can Kuro, against his favored Victor, but on the LeBlanc, really apply the lane pressure to run the early game? Because in the late game, you love what ROX has.
Oh boy. Well, Kuro is going to get exhausted out here. Flashes away from that spear. Crash is still chasing. Knows exactly which one it is.
Gets the auto.
The red buff. He comes forward, finds Kuro, who dashes away. He's trying to get out of here. He's going to find it. Crash comes up with first blood. Can Peanut answer, though? There's a lot of damage coming out of Frozen. Peanut will answer a kill. And Frozen's not going to flash in for it. Peanut will get out with his life, so he answers back, but that's still first blood going over to Longzhu.
A little bit fortunate. Oh, let's see a teleport.
Yeah, teleport coming in from Smeb on this top side, but has to cancel as Fury and Pure are able to back off quickly enough. So that's going to be a TP down now for ROX Tigers. Good start for Longzhu. Need to keep up this pressure.
We didn't mention it before. We are still on patch 6.13 today, so no 6.14 yet, but 6.13 is where the teleport changes came in. It's so hard to turn fights in the middle of a lane with teleport with the 4.5-second channel time, so it was inevitably not going to come through as the Dazzle mana was there for Gorilla to disengage. The trade actually works out pretty well for ROX. Even though Kuro dies, Hecarim getting the gold, getting a refresh on double buffs is a big help to getting that Hecarim towards his first item. For now, it's just the jungle item. But the one thing that could have happened there that I noticed was Crash was cheating towards the brush, wasn't walking towards his laner, and his laner was a couple of auto attacks away from actually picking up the double buffs themselves. So unfortunate that they couldn't pick up the 2 kills there. Peanut just eked out the kill, but the trade, all in all, probably beneficial for ROX Tigers.
So Peanut just going to go for that Skirmisher Saber. Not going to be seeing the ambition side of things where he just rushes that Trinity Force.
Was Skirmisher's Cinder Hulk and Trinity Force when we saw Peanut play this jungle Hecarim last time.
Oh, another trade coming out on this top side. Prey slowed up by that pillar. Stun comes through. Fury still gets caught by it. And Prey's going to come up with the kill. That means 11 more. Now Peanut arriving in this top side. Doesn't have the onslaught of shadows yet, but will get the flash out of the trundle. Nicely played there by ROX, and Fury just not flashing correctly to dodge out that Dazzle.
I mean, that was basically the equivalent of a solo kill, you'd have to say. Tried to outplay the situation with his flash. Was too cute, ended up taking the damage anyway. Boomerang Blade was held on to. Tried to go for the sick outplay with flash, but ended up with egg on his face. We're going to see the replay here. Let's see what prompts this. So basically, they're trading evenly in autos, but after the heal comes through,
he just
Prey's in a wonderful
into the
spot.
other Dazzle.
And he flashes into the second Dazzle. Super awkward to see there.
Yeah.
No extra kill for Peanut on the back end, but he will be building for lanes. So it is the Serrated Dirk versus the BF Sword. Actually pretty even in power level because of the armor penetration early. But awkward for Fury.
Yeah, it's all right. Now Peanut coming into this mid side, still not level 6, gets on a Frozen, who does not have that Chaos Storm yet. Will throw down the Gravity Field, and he will stay safe, but they get some nice pressure in on this mid side. The flash down on the Victor.
Smeb came for a walk, has the equalizer himself, so they're waiting to see if they can get something.
Oh, well, Crash walks out. Smeb already showed some. He sees them. Javelin actually lands on the Peanut. That could be bad. Rosie's coming around the side, has the Death Rays, not able to get that final proc, but now the TP's coming through from Expression, who does arrive in Peanut. He's just all alone in no man's land. There's nowhere to go. We'll just give over the kill, deny that extra assist onto Expression, and let's Crash take him down.
The moment that Smeb revealed himself was actually really awkward, because when the spear
that
registered,
was the worst timing.
They understood exactly what was happening there, so Peanut was left stranded in the enemy jungle. They pass over another kill, so we're even so far in basically every metric this early in the game.
Yeah, which is quite surprising. And Crash, with those 2 kills, has also got a nice little CS lead in the camps over top of Peanut. So he's doing a really good job on this Nidalee, as we, would somewhat expect from him.
So excited to see the team fight phase, because you can just wait for Gorilla to link with the Hecarim and then get Onslaught of Shadows into the Dazzle, which is going to be pretty massive wombo engage. They very much need this Hecarim to do damage.
Dive potential there too.
Sure, but he needs to get tanky. That's the thing, is we expect the expensive build. We still expect, I guess now with Swiftness Boots, there's an outside chance that the Trinity Force isn't the first item, but including Ambition, the 2 players that we've seen recently play this jungle Hecarim have been Ambition and Peanut. It has been Trinity Force into tank stats. Given how much of that initiation burden is on Peanut, they kind of need both, unless they're very far ahead in the mid-game, to get the fights they're looking for.
Yeah, well, Ambition, when he was playing that one, was just way too squishy early on, so having those early tank stats would have been a bit better for him, but wasn't so.
It's worth noting that if you do go the Trinity Force Rush build, sure, you're squishy for teamfight purposes, but for skirmishes, for 2v2s, or even potentially the turret dive with the Dazzle, you can do work. It's just you need to understand your limits. You're not built for team fighting. You're only built for skirmishing. So if you can respect those limitations, you can still do work with that aggressive item build. It's just, it doesn't have that backup of being able to team fight.
Yeah. See, Frozen picking up that blue buff, has the Nicotron cloak in the inventory, so we'll be looking for first item, Abyssal Scepter would seem. Meanwhile, Morello Namicon going to be for Kuro. Smeb's coming into this mid side, but
no flash on Frozen.
Yeah, Frozen's already pretty far back. Smeb not having a Proto Belt won't be able to close that distance fast enough to really get the Flame Spitter damage in, so he just opts to go ahead and peel back. So Smeb's just actually been really bouncing back and forth between this bottom and mid side, and yet is still maintaining almost even CS with Expression. So he's done a really good job on this Rumble.
I see a lot of the Gnar versus Rumble matchup. Of course, a lot of my data points are back in the day when Rumble would have a lot of problems pushing in, but because Rumble now has ranged AoE wave clear, and Gnar, honestly, most of the time, because he's in mini Gnar form, has to rely on the auto attacks. It does seem like now the matchup is up. Smeb.
Yeah, Smeb's gonna get stunned into the wall, chained in with that Gnar stun, and now he throws down the equalizer, but it's too little too late. That's gonna be another kill coming in from Longzhu. Crash has just been able to make things work, and it was good comboing and a solid flash there by Expression to be able to land that Gnar stun.
Not sure if we'll see the replay, but actually the Gnar ultimate didn't.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's going to be the Taric ultimate coming through as they go on to Fury. Onslaught of Shadows used will fear them out. That's going to be the kill. Goes over to Gorilla. Fury is still very healthy, however. Gorilla's taking these turret shots. We'll be able to get out of range. Meanwhile, Kuro going in for a trade in the mid side against Frozen. We'll get that Mimic pop, but still holds on to the flash and the TP, so he'll be able to back off safely. But now Crash coming through this mid side is going to delay that recall and just keep LeBlanc out of lane as long as he can.
The communication between the members of ROX was really good there. Fury was about 15 seconds away from having his flash up. Really awkward that, of course, he flashed in the 2v2, got solo killed in that situation, and now gets turret dive. So good timing to go for that wraparound gank. But yeah, we're learning that Rumble now, with his wave clear, can actually push in the Gnar, and that's actually opened up the roam opportunities to make advantages out of that equalizer. So it's good to see how this lane has developed since it was traditionally a Gnar counterpick in previous patches.
Yeah, getting that buff up on the Flame Spitter damage to minions was certainly a much-needed change for Rumble in this scenario. Now we can see Bray and Gorilla waiting in this bottom side. Expression's about to transform into Mega, so he might try to get cheeky and play up against Smeb, but now they're just going to go ahead and show and shove in this tower as much as they can. The ping is coming out from Longzhu. Looks like they're just going to match the push, so really delayed swap onto the towers. ROX will get the better of this as they react faster.
Yeah, ROX end the 2v2 laning phase in the top lane. The reason why they do this, why they're willing to opt into a trade despite the fact that they were winning the 2v2, is that they want to pick up a Drake on the back end, and they're not worried about the potential for there to be a Rift Herald answer. So expecting them to set around Drake, but for now, they're actually pushing really aggressively here, Sivir and Tarek. Watching the top lane as Crash helps Fury push in. Crash was Sin on top, so Drake is a very easy take, but I guess it's Cloud Drake pushing the lane, for now, has higher priority than rushing down that Drake.
Well, you get that wave pushed up nice and far. So far, CS is going to be pretty even. Still have a bit of a lead here for Crash and Expression, but it's being made up for the most part by Kuro. This mid side, who's currently 21 ahead, has that Morel and Nabakon completed as well. So he's going to be doing some nice damage on this LeBlanc. We'll see where he wants to go next. As far as his items goes, could go for something like the Abyssal Scepter to match that of Frozen, get that nice MR mitigation.
Just roaming up, spotted on a ward though.
Yep, they're going to throw down the Equalizer, try to get some slow up, but Smeb not going to get a whole lot of damage done. Peanut coming around the side, the TP going to be completed. Here comes Expression, doesn't have much of an R-bar. It looks like Fury is just going to go down. Onslaught of Shadows not going to catch Fury as he is able to flash away. He's still going to take a plethora of damage from that Rumble. And now Expression getting chunked out. Kuro going to go low as well. The Terran shield is there, trying to keep them alive, but now Crash and Frozen arriving. Third on Gravity Field, not going to be able to find Prey, but the Chaos Storm is ticking, and it's just doing so much damage. Will force the flash out of that Sivir, and now ROX is on the run. The Dazzle not going to connect onto anybody, but it looks like they have been able to disengage well enough. Smeb has to jump away with that Proto Belt. It's going really low and silences himself with the overheat. Another spear comes through, but Gorilla going to body block, so ROX find a kill onto Pure and are able to successfully disengage.
Yeah, that 5-man disengage, everyone on a sliver of health, but
That was
enough to
scary
get
for
out.
them.
Exactly, they're playing with fire, but they have a Rumble too, so that fits, but able to get away on that sliver, and that's the difference. They judged it very well. Smeb holding on to the Proto Belt, he was able to kind of hang back, be that Juicy's target, but have the Proto Belt for at least a semi-flash to be able to get out of aggro range. No one dies, so very slight advantage to the Tigers, but not a massive one by any stretch.
Yeah, created just enough distance to keep himself alive, but that was really, really close. We'll take a look at this replay. So Smeb just opening up with that Equalizer, trying to get the slow in, get some early damage.
Peanut able to actually, with the devastating charge, move behind Pure, get the push. Ended up just ulting for the damage to get the kill. But they didn't have that resource. They do more damage to Expression. But this is the part where they realize that mid lane's reacting. They get no value at all out of the Tarek ultimate. If you watch, during the time that it's elapsing, no damage is actually inflicted to be blocked. So that's good by Longzhu, not to waste any cooldowns. And then this chase comes on. So the slow started on Smeb. It didn't actually lead to a kill because he still had the Proto Belt. Longzhu didn't just quite have enough tools to chase down ROX Tigers.
Yeah, it was really close. Crash hovering around this red buff. Might be going in for a seal. Smeb's waiting in the wing, so gets a slow up, and that's going to be the flash out from Crash. And now Kuro getting dove on in that mid side, gets chunked out, barely walks away with any health remaining. Has that refillable potion that helps him out, but ROX are going to lose this tower in the mid. Oh, actually, it's going to stand with just 33 HP in the end. But with the wave there, Longzhu will be able to finish this one off.
Kuro has teleport, so they have to respect that. Don't want to walk up to get that last hit, so Minion does it for them. Are also able to get some free autos. He has a couple of defensive wards, but does he have something to spot this one?
Well, here we go. Yeah, it's going to be the teleport coming up from Kuro. Comes around Expression, nowhere near that Maganar. Smeb on the chase. Doesn't have the Equalizer yet, but the loot will come through onto him, and Expression, he's going to go down. Smeb finds the kill. Peanut throwing it up just in case, but he's not going to be able to find an assist off that one. But we have a lot of back and forth going on right now, and Longzhu barely holding on to that 700 gold lead coming out of that mid lane tower take.
Looks like they're going to get another turret, Achilles. Crash and Fury pushing up bot. It's a healthy turret, but Youmuu's can be popped to take it down. Will eventually be answered by Smeb, but certainly not at the same pace. So despite the 2 extra kills going over, now 2 turrets going down. 1,300 gold lead to Longzhu, who, even in the early phase of the game when turrets were even, were very competitive in gold at that stage as well.
Yeah, I mean, look at this differential that we have in the mid lane. It's about 1,600, I believe, it said there between Crash and Peanut. So Crash has been doing a hell of a lot of work so far, still maintaining that lead as well in the jungle. So he's been doing a damn good job on this Nidalee, and that's going to be a pick that ROX might have to rethink handing over as we get ready to go into that second game, but still have to get through this one. It's still very tight-knit, just 200, 300-ish gold going to be separating these guys. Looks like just Longzhu will be the first ones to start up this Cloud Drake at the 16-minute mark. So we'll limit how many dragons we see in this game.
ROX drafted this Hecarim very early. Certainly a risky jungle choice. There were other junglers available that certainly could have done a similar job to Hecarim on a lower economy. I mean, you look at the build from Peanut, it's a bit of everything. Start of a jungle item, a Spectre's Cowl for magic resist, to respect the magic damage coming out of Frozen in particular, but I guess Crash also is jungle opponent, and he's very much like a Trinity Force, but he's what, 4,000 gold short of having the items to really open up in a team fight, and that's time that the ROX Tigers may not have, depending on how many more objectives Longzhu can take before Peanut really hits high gear.
Yeah. Frozen as well now in this mid lane, starting to turn things around, has gotten himself a bit of a CS lead over top of Kuro, who is kind of really controlling that by 20 plus for the majority of this game. So that's a nice little bounce back here for the Victor. Be looking pretty good. Has already completed augmenting his item, opting for the Boots of Lucidity, and still will be working towards that Abyssal Scepter. So a little ways off on that one, but we can see Kuro with that Null Magic Mantle will be operating in a similar situation as he moves towards that same item. Uh-oh, Smeb though, Pillar coming out, Expression goes through, still gets the stun right into that Pillar. Is nicely done by Expression. They will pick up a very swift kill onto that Rumble. Now all of Longzhu up this top side. ROX going to try to defend. They do have that Taric ultimate available and the wave clear from the Simmer, so Longzhu just going to try to get as much damage as they possibly can, and the almost gets popped. They might be able to force this one out. Looks like they will be able to take the turn. Peanut goes in with the Onslaught of Shadows, going to be whittling them down. Expression going to be the main target, but the kill comes through from Fury, keeps him alive. But now Kuro coming into the backside, gets a double kill as he takes down Fury and Expression, and now Frozen all on his own. So just trying to finish off Bray, but it's not going to happen. The flash and the heal will come out and keep him alive, and ROX are going to turn that one on its head completely. Still in a deficit, but they pick up 3 for just the 1 kill on Smeb.
I mean, ROX's mid-game team fighting has always been their trademark, and they changed it on a dime, Achilles, just as they went in for that last hit on the turret. That was when the greed from Longzhu was too strong. It looked like it would be fine. LeBlanc was slow to rotate, but the moment they saw that last auto from Expression go in, they all in on this fight. Credit to Kuro, even though he was there late, fortuitous timing, very nice Mimic distortion in the back line. Frozen tries to get the 1-for-1, but Prey lives, held onto the heel. The kills continue to roll for the Tigers, and during that time, they're going to take mid lane turret of their own. Yeah,
going to be a really nice pickup. You know, I thought for a second, like, oh, maybe they can go for the Baron, and then I realized this is just 18 minutes in. Prey, though, going to get caught out. There's nothing that he can do. He's just going to surrender himself over to Longzhu. Fury will find that kill. Kuro throwing out the chains, just try to dissuade Longzhu from pushing forward as much as they possibly can, but they're still grouped up in this mid side. They could be looking for this tier 2 to answer their tier 1.
Make no mistake, that's still 2 skirmishes. We've seen the Tigers get a little bit of an advantage in, and this is the time when Longzhu's comp has got the ascendancy over ROX, and that's almost primarily around the Hecarim pick still kind of tuning up. So the fact that they're winning these kill trades is a significant thing for ROX, because we're getting closer and closer to the Hecarim fully coming online.
Yeah, but it's still just crucial amount of time here that ROX are taking up to try to get to that point. Now 20 minutes into the game, just about, still in a bit of a deficit, but they're keeping it as close as they possibly can. When that Trinity Force is completed for Peanut, it really could blow the game wide open in favor of ROX Tigers, but right now Longzhu are still playing on that much higher level that we saw them bring out against CJ in game 1 just last week.
Isn't that heartening to see, though? That gameplay level was against ESC Everett, the 8th place team in the league, and against CJ Entus, the 10th place team. So, you know, flat track bullies is a saying that has been leveled against Longzhu this year, where they can beat the lower teams, look confident doing so, but wilt against top teams. And there are a lot of teams in the LCK that struggle against the top teams, SKT and ROX Tigers in particular. But Longzhu have come out to play. They stuck with their guns, drafted a mid-game comp, and while they're ahead, and only slightly so, they're ahead in the mid-game against ROX Tigers. And you can count on one hand, and honestly on a couple of fingers, how many teams have been able to do that in summer season so far.
SK Telecom.
Yep.
All right, I think I got it.
I mean, Samsung in their first series of the season as well.
That's very true. That was a very well-fought one by Samsung. But, yeah, this is Longzhu looking really strong, and this is just a little bit bittersweet again. Since last week, they are out of playoff contention. They cannot make it in. But this is still promising to see as they move forward. Peanut going to go in on the Crash, takes a hell of a lot of damage. Equalizer comes down, they fear him right into that objective. Smeb not going to be able to make it over the wall, though, with the Protobell, of course. Now Expression all on his own, so just going to get locked up. That's another kill going over to Prey. 10 more to 1,000. Crash, miraculously somewhat, makes it out of that one alive. But now, a nice crucial pick coming in here for ROX. They can pressure up into this mid side or even go over to this Dragon, which is spawning in a minute.
Yeah, but it's still a minute away. It's not connected with the Dragon spawn, so honestly, it's a lot invested just for a single kill. You'll take it if you're ROX, but the objectives to profit, especially with mid lane turret taken down a few minutes ago, aren't really there. So Frozen was just pushing in top. Obviously, had no way to react, so gets a free buy.
That's the good thing about the Dragon coming up in a minute, is that they'll be able to get those ultimate cooldowns back up in time. So you see Smebs is already halfway off CD, so they will be prepared for that one.
Build closer and closer to being online from Peanut. Had the Trinity Force during that skirmish, so we saw the skirmishing power of Trinity Force Hecarim, but the tankiness is still very much implied with only a Spectre's Cowl and a Ruby Crystal.
Again, you got to be really surprised that Crash managed to make it out of there alive, just with the Abyssal Scepter and the Rylai's, the only two items that he has. I mean, they're a little bit defensive in the HP and the MR there, but it's still, for him to make it out of that one was pretty surprising.
It's also Nidalee fighting in a choke next to a wall he can jump, so at the end of the day, Nidalee's implied tankiness of having both a heal and the ability to jump over walls was enough.
Well, now Dragon respawning. Of course, just a second Cloud Drake, so Longzhu, if they can get that one, they will be zipping around the map decently quickly. ROX would love to pick this up for themselves. Does that give bonus damage for the Hecarim in the jungle?
I believe the first attack registers the damage and then he's in combat, so I want to say yes, but the combat calculation of when exactly you're in combat is kind of finicky and can be situational, so...
Did you get triple Cloud Drake on Hecarim? That first hit's just gonna crush.
Triple Cloud Drake. Some sort of teleport flank, so if it was teleport smite, and then Trinity Force proc on the devastating charge, just casual 1,000 damage instantly.
Hot damn. Alright, well ROX will be able to take this one away. Spear will come through from Crash, but he obviously doesn't want to go into that pit. We will have our second Cloud Drake go down, and now Mountain will follow. But both of these teams in a perfectly strong position to be able to contest that objective, and you can be damn sure that they're going to want to do that. Tiger's now about 900 behind, but still down a tower, so that's going to be the majority of that deficit that's coming through. Try to find a pick here. Gorilla's going to take a little bit of damage, but he's a Taric, he can heal it up. He'll be all right.
This item threshold is where Longzhu shines. Black Cleaver, Yomu's Ghostblade completed for the Lucian, gone for the mid-game power spike of the armor penetration build. That Black Cleaver also will synergize very nicely with the Gnar, who's at 2 items, has some tankiness now to back up. 3 items, 4 items, that's when ROX Tigers, I think, run away with it, specifically around the Hecarim, but to the Sivir as well, who late game damage will be far, far outweighing what Fury can put out. So question is, can Longzhu buy the pink wards, put them down, and try and open the game up, whether it's a gold lead through or a buff lead through something like Baron, because this is the time when they need to do it.
Yeah. Well, Longzhu having that vision control around Baron, starting to kind of poke in to that area, make sure that ROX isn't able to get into the pit and get priority vision so far. Longzhu still have those pink wards standing. Peanut kind of coming down from above, just trying to inch his way in as best as he can. Doesn't want to fall into a trap.
Wards are so important here. They always are in competitive play, but you look at Longzhu's comp, and so much of what they want to do is negated by Taric. If they are very transparent about going for a Gnar initiation, I mean, we're just going to see the ult from Gorilla, and it's going to negate any sort of burst coming through. So pink warding, getting in a brush, blowing one person up with the Victor. Doesn't sound like the ideal use of the Chaos Storm, but that's how this Longzhu comp functions best, because in any sort of clear engage, I feel like Gorilla really does have the answer with that ultimate.
Yeah. Now the Sivir is starting to get a little bit scary with that Infinity Edge completed in the Zeal in the inventory. We'll see which way Prey wants to go. We've seen a lot of the Phantom Dancer as of late, so could be looking for that nice duel potential against Fury, who's of course going for the armor shred build from that Lucian.
No one has armor. There's a couple of cloth armors in the inventory for Expression, but...
And for true damage.
I mean, very understandably, there's a lot of magic damage. You have to respect the Rumble LeBlanc, but that's the trade-off that Longzhu have opted into, so target selection needs to be that they need to take down the Sivir or...
Oh boy. Well, speaking of Fury, here comes Koro. Dashes in. The chain not going to connect as he is able to flash away, so nicely played there by him. Gets himself out safely.
That was a lot of line damage, skill shot stuns he had to respect there. The chains and the dazzle could go in different directions, so credit to Fury, that wasn't easy.
Able to make it out alive. Expression's trying to push up into this bottom side. We'll get a nice little chunk onto Smab as he stacks up that Hyper. But Smab will be able to clear out the wave and is keeping things relatively close. He's not very threatened. Sitting underneath the tower, still has the Zonias available, so.
You do not have the luxury to trade farm with ROX Tigers, so for now, since nothing's advanced, like the play of your ROX under the turret.
Wow, yeah, actually, they're just going to go completely in on that one. Smab getting taken down, but now the rest of ROX moving over towards his Baron. They clear out the Scrying Orb, Expression's trying to back off, get healed up, so he can TP in. Peanut goes in, the Onslaught of Shadows not going to connect him. He's taking a hell of a lot of damage now from that Victor. ROX are going to have to back off as TP starts coming through from the Gnar. Moreau still very far forward, not able to get very much damage in onto that Trundle. On the Hump gets popped, and ROX will be able to exit, but now this is going to open up for Longzhu to start up this Baron. Smeb getting ready to respawn. It's still 15 seconds out, so it's a ways away. Fight's breaking out now on the top side of the pit. Gorilla getting jumped on. He is going to go down. Frozen finds the kill. The rest of ROX are really low. Prey throwing out that Boomerang Blade. Gets a little bit of HP off of Crash. Throw goes in. Chunks out Fury a little bit with a double sigil. And that should be Longzhu peeling back away from this Baron. Smab is respawned. They need to respect the teleport. And they will get out alive. But they're able to take down Gorilla.
And ROX, they tried for a big engage with the Onslaught of Shadows and the Dazzle, but both went wide. And they had used so many cooldowns. Tarek, once again, we saw Gorilla use the ult, not negate much damage. We're going to see the tail end of the replay. This is where after the kills already come through. So smart of Longzhu to respect. With all that poke damage, they weren't realistically going to be able to pick up any kills. So even though they took down Gorilla, a lot of this fight was about the previous situation where all the ults were used by ROX for no gain whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, rough stuff here from Smeb, who is really starting to suffer in this bottom side of the map, especially when Crash is present. I mean, going for a dive like that, when he has his Zonias available, still a very bold move from the side of Longzhu, but they're able to make it work, and they will maintain a lead now of about 2,000 gold. Mountain Drake getting ready to spawn in 50 seconds, and if the ROX Tigers could get that, it would really help them equalize some of these structure counts that they've been suffering in. But at the same time, if Longzhu can get it, it's going to make sieging up at that Baron a lot easier for them.
Yeah, Siege is not something this comp does immaculately. They do have quite a few ranged auto attackers, but Lucian does have the lower range that makes it difficult for him to take down the turrets. Returning to the Gnar versus Rumble matchup, we've seen basically a lane that used to be Gnar winning the early laning phase and then winning the late game phase has turned into Rumble's able to push in the Gnar early and roam, but in the late game, Black Cleaver and a long lane Rumble with no turret to go back to really does struggle, and you see the power of the Hyper Procs coming in. So it does evolve into being a good lane for Gnar, but we see early there is those opportunities for Smep to roam, like we saw in the first 20 minutes.
Well, ROX trying to get a little sneaky attack in on the Longzhu, but they get spotted out. The Scrying Orb's going to stop that one from coming through. They also see Smep at the bottom side.
You know, it's close to being budget tanky with Spectre's Cowl and a Chain Vest, but no more than that. But the big story is praise at 3 items, and the armor is certainly not quite there yet from Longzhu. It's just going to be the Randuin slowly coming in for Expression. So this is the part where the backline gets randomly crit for 400 damage, and that might be enough for someone like Kuro to, with the Mimic Distortion, really clean up a fight.
Yeah. We'll see. Fury is going for a more defensive build now, has the Hex Drinker completed, so should be bringing in that Maul Malmortius pretty shortly. Surprised he hasn't gone for something like a QSS earlier than the Hex Drinker, considering it is just a flat MR, and then you have so much CC that you can cleanse off with that one, the biggest one being the Onslaught of Shadow Sphere. But hasn't opted into that quite yet. Meanwhile, Crash goes in, starts up the Dragon, and ROX will say, thanks for the leash, man. We're just going to take this one away. Spear not going to come in close enough, and of course now Elder Dragon going to be the next one spawning up, but now ROX with that Mountain Drake. This is going to help them out immensely so they can equalize those turret kills, because they've been behind by a tower for quite some time. They're trying to get some damage in onto Expression.
Wow.
We'll be able to trade him back, but he snaps back with that Distortion to dodge the house.
Crash looking for a pick.
Yep, the Dazzle not going to be anywhere near Crash, though. It's just too mobile, and that Nidalee will get himself out of harm's way, and now they're just going to fight over a little bit of deep vision in that top side of the jungle.
Trying to set up around the Baron that they've started a few times this game. I like the Hex Drinker though, coming back to that point you were talking about. Against LeBlanc, it's kind of a needed item to negate being instant burst down. If you go for Cleanse, excuse me, it sounds like a good investment, but your big issue is that if it's hit by any magic damage or any CC, you're probably dead anyway.
Sure.
The positioning's going to have to be so careful from Fury in the fights. So while it sounds nice to QSS a Dazzle, I think the gold is better invested in not being popped by a LeBlanc jumping out of vision.
Gotcha. Well, he's shown so far that he's both able to dodge and very much not dodge these CCs that are coming out from the side of ROX. We'll see which one he's able to pull off in the crucial moments of the team fight. That is basically just getting ready to happen like a ticking time bomb.
I mean, Fury's teamfight positioning has been really up and down in recent series. We've seen him jump in as Twitch and die at 1v5.
That was less than stellar for sure.
And then scoot around some team fights as Lucian in a manner that was very common with his 2015 Lucian when he looked great on that champion for Samsung. Seeing this matchup once again the side lanes. Of course, Kuro has invested in the teleport this game.
Yeah, gonna be really hard though to get any real damage in onto Expression. He's got so much HP, plus that Spirit Visage completed, so he can just eat all of that harass coming up from Kuro. Crash down in a bad spot, the Fear comes through, he flashes away, he's still gonna get caught by it. Equalizer comes down, it's not gonna be doing a whole lot of damage for that Nidalee, who gets a nice heal off. And that should be the end of it. ROX just looking for the pick. They're not able to find it. They invest a good amount. That's on the hunt, Onslaught of Shadows, Equalizer, and the Taric ultimate down.
Taric ult has been used proactively multiple times, but for very little gain. Flash out is relevant.
Yeah,
oh
now
boy.
Smeb's going in. He's going to have to. Sonya's right off the bat of this one. Gets a little bit of damage with the Flame Spitter, but has to flash away. The Chaos Storm missile ticking on him. I think he's going to fall down, and there it is. Frozen's able to find the kill with that Siphon Power auto attack. Now ROX fighting on the back foot. Expression comes in. Not able to find the stun, but they get the gravity field down on the Peanut, and he's going to fall. Kuro dashing in, trying to find a target, trying to get somebody popped low, but he's just unable to do it, and ROX are going to lose 2 off the backside of that attempted pick, and now Longzhu have a fast track over onto this Baron.
They went for the first pick, they got the flash, that part's fine, but why are you reinitiating before those important teamfight ults are down? We see Longzhu trying for this Baron. They're going to try it again. 2 members dead on ROX.
Yeah, this is really risky here from ROX to try to fight this one. Kuro goes into the pit, trying to get some damage in on the Crash. Will chunk him out low. Is that enough, though, for Longzhu to peel off? They still have Expression, who is very healthy on this Gnar, and it looks like they're going to stick. Now, close to that Gnar bar, he's actually going to back off. Tries to go in onto Prey, who takes a little bit of damage from that Death Ray, and Prey suddenly in a bad spot, going to get locked up. He goes down, but here comes Kuro over the wall, is able to find Crash, but now, walking straight into that gravity field, the Dazzle comes through, will lock up Pure and Expression for a little bit of time. Kuro's able to answer with another kill, but Frozen is still there, very healthy, but now out of mana, and with Smeb coming back in, they're going to trade back, take down Expression, and ROX are just having one of the most extended fights I have ever seen. Peanut coming in with that Onslaught of Shadows, taking down the Gnar. Do they just turn straight over onto this Baron? It looks like that's exactly what's going to happen.
Longzhu's old tendencies rear their ugly head. They once again spent too much time on Baron in a position where they couldn't do so. Kuro was just waiting for that time to jump in the back, even though he was exhausted. Got an extended triple kill. He lived for so long in that fight. Frozen's going to try and walk up. Baron at 2,000, but Taric ult will negate the burst.
This is really risky, though the Chaos Storm is there, but there we go. Peanut is able to confirm this one. The Dazzle coming through. 2 of them get sucked into the gravity field. Looks like Gorilla may go down. The Chaos Storm's not fast enough to catch him, and Smeb will be able to finalize the kill. That's going to be the delayed ace coming in onto Longzhu, and a Baron for ROX Tigers, who finally have a gold lead for the first time in God knows how long in this game.
But it wasn't clean on either side, Achilles. We're going to see
very sloppy.
The second fight. This is when Longzhu, once again, they're DPSing down this Baron. It's still at 8,000 when Crash is almost completely killed, and yet they turn onto the Baron again. They're against Dazzle CC. They're against a full health Sivir. And Kuro, it's level 16. The ult rotation is on, what, 16-second cooldown or less. He sees 3 low health members, licks his lips, he's exhausted, he only gets 1. But watch Kuro during this fight. He snaps back, gets a second kill with his Q, and honestly, Longzhu, they try to chase him down, but he's able to go aggressive and take down the Trundle as well for the triple kill.
Yeah.
But it was ROX Tigers making mistakes just previous to this. They initiated a fight, they initiated a pick onto Nidalee, got a flash, and yet still we see Smeb try to solo initiate when they have 3 massive teamfight ults, including the Taric ult, down, lose 2 members. So honestly, their mistake baited Longzhu into making a bigger mistake. and the end result's a bit of a clown fiesta,
all
but
about
ROX
the-
Tigers come out ahead.
It's all about those next level mind games. ROX thinking 4 steps ahead. No, just really lucky turn of events for these guys. Now they're going to be pushing down into this mid lane, trying to find this tier 2 tower. It's a little bit of damage in as Prey move toward Baron-powered minions. But Longzhu are not going to give this one up without a fight. Everybody moving into this mid side. Wheeler comes down to trying to zone them off as best as possible. And they will hold on to it for the time being, but it's looking like it's only a matter of time before ROX is able to finally chip this one out. Kuro on the roll back over, coming in through that bottom side. Might be looking for a flank to come in over the wall underneath the tower. Actually, no, he's just going to split into the bottom side and get that wave moving into the tier 2. So ROX has a few more options on the hunt. Gonna get pop expansion, goes in, gonna whip the Gnar ultimate though. That's crucial here for the defense of Longzhu. Now the turret going down. ROX looking like they're just gonna go ahead and kill right back out.
It's smart of them to move away. Kuro is in no way able to register, especially with teleport at that 4.5 second channel time. So they take the objective and back away. Smart of Prey to blow the ultimate. They're a team that has so many melee members, and Kuro, the only other ranged auto attacker, splitting. So they need to threaten the turret dive to realistically be able to push down a turret. But we're going to see some free time for LeBlanc in bot lane. Gonna chunk it down to half. Not a super consequential Elder Drake, given that it's only boosting the Mountain Drake and also the Cloud Drake, but you take it if you can.
Oh, Special hovering around, trying to get onto Kuro. Peanut's waiting in the brush, but he's not going to be able to pull the trigger on that one, so we'll back off. Meanwhile, Elder Dragon is being taken by ROX. It's down below half HP now. Longzhu arriving. Can they go for the steal? Javelin lands. It's going to be Smeb actually confirming this one. And now Crash going low. Kuro finishes them off with that distortion, and Peanut going in deep, just helicoptering all over the members of Longzhu. Kuro's going to be the next one to fall as Kuro finds the double kill. Fury barely making it out, but there it is. Peanut's going to be able to finish it off with the onslaught right there. And he is just running over the members of Longzhu, quite literally, and Expression and Pure will be the only 2 members to limp away, and ROX, they're going to be looking for inhibitors at this point.
Yeah, no minion wave in mid lane, so they're going to try and transition to the bot lane. Big mistake from Crash, honestly. He went for the steal because he saw no smite was around, but it's such an inconsequential buff, and the death timer is so relevant that diving into this comp, dying for free with no ults need to be burned, allowed initiation for ROX in 5v4. They're going to take an inhibitor from that as well. They're going to try and end the game.
Yeah, they're still going to be pushing in here. It's just 15 seconds until Frozen comes up, especially trying to buy as much time as he can, but they're onto the Nexus towers. The first one is going to fall. Here chunk low by Kuro. Looks like ROX, they're going to have to back off of this one now with the members of Longzhu coming back up, but they will have home guard. They could zip in, try to go for a pick, but looks like they're just going to let them walk out.
Good defensive formation. Once again, Smeb on the backside had Proto Bell and the Flash available, so he's always the one that's tracking out last. The big mistake here is from Crash. This Elder Drake, again, it's only buffing a Cloud Drake and a Mountain Drake. It's only 2 buffs, so it's not like the burn was going to be at full value. They don't need any ults to take down the Nidalee to make it a 5v4. And then for once, they can use the turret ult when they want to. Allows Peanut to just walk at the enemy AD carry and Fury and zone him from the fight. No AoE Black Cleaver stacks going down. Can confidently go for the turret dive. You need to really judge when you go for those suicide buff steals. For a Baron, certainly. For a forced Drake stack, Elder Drake, certainly. But in that scenario, just a mistake from Crash.
Yeah. I always get baited by that little like dash forward that Hecarim gets. I'm like, oh, he's got ultimate. Oh, wait, never mind. He already used the ultimate. That's just his W or whatever it is. So I always get baited by that one. But Peanut, knowing his limits, and finally, it was really slow at the start of this game, but the Hecarim has indeed come online with the Triforce Spirit Visage and now the Dead Man's Plate. It's also got that Dirk. So, going to be looking for a little bit more damage now on this Hecarim, and he is just a very scary Treant Centaur being. Whatever, I don't know what that's really considered at this point.
He's a horse, Achilles.
Alright, he's a wooden horse.
A Trojan horse?
A Trojan horse.
Well, so far he's heralding death for Longzhu.
I'm sure Longzhu really did think that they had the upper hand.
That's true.
To start things off, and then
I mean, they did.
Peanut rolled in.
They did have the early lead, but I think you pick it out really well. There's 2 roles here, despite both comps being very much mid-game comps. 2 roles on ROX where there's certain outscale, especially when you're talking about the Black Cleaver build from the Lucian. Sivir is certainly going to be putting out a lot more damage in these late-game fights, and Hecarim, pretty force, tankiness, dive in and have Taric ult as well to ensure the dive. So we're just waiting for ROX to look for a dive because sieging turrets is still very difficult for them. Probably going to need to blow that Sivir ult and really look to end the game from a big initiation.
Is Cenarius a card in Hearthstone?
Yep.
Alright, that's that Hecarim skin.
Okay.
Completely.
The Blizzard Riot IP thing going on here.
It is completely just Cenarius. I would have to say. Dazzle there from Gorilla, not going to connect. And Frozen's just dealing with these super creeps, double pushing into that bottom side. TP is going to be used by Koro. Comes into the top, and he's going for a really aggressive build. Looted Zeko with the Rabbids Death Cap. No defensive items whatsoever outside of Abyssal Scepter. So he is just completely looking to 100-0 people, and he's been having a good time of it so far. 7-2, and wow, oh my god, Fury just completely vanishing Kuro, my god. Kids, if you're not 18 or older, you have to turn off the stream right now after that one. ROX pushing in, trying to take out this last Nexus Tower expansion, doing what he can. It's not going to get the stun. He will get his GA popped as he comes back up. He will lose that Mega Gnar, so all he can do is really hop back to the Fountain Smith with a very well-timed Zonia. Will keep him alive, and ROX are able to finish off the Nexus and take game 1.
A lot of credit to Longzhu. They played the early game very well. They were in a gold lead till, unfortunately, history reared its ugly head. The play around Baron. The play around Baron twice over was not the greatest from Longzhu. They took too long to peel, especially the second time, and were mopped up by the LeBlanc, but surprise, surprise, Sivir also did plenty of damage, hit that item build, so did the Hecarim, and honestly, there was no window back into the game from Longzhu once both those things happened, but again, they were competitive for 30, 35 minutes against, right now at least, the top team in the league. So important development from Longzhu, but they're going to be kicking themselves that they couldn't turn it into a game 1 win.
Yeah, and just some sloppiness there from ROX Tigers as well. So
definitely
have to make note of that, because very uncharacteristic calls, fully committing on to a Nidalee and then re-engaging after they'd already expended about 3 or 4 ultimates. It was just pretty ill-advised. They managed barely to come out on top of that one, but that was just because Longzhu botched a play immediately afterwards.
That's true.
So
I mean, the Taric play from
that was the real big way back in.
The Taric play from them hasn't been the cleanest. So you compare it to Max, for example, Hachani. Both those teams have been really on top of the cooldowns, but here we weren't really seeing the Link Dazzles hitting. The ults were too early from Gorilla most of the time.
It was going better in the laning phase, and then when we got into the teamfight phase, it was just really rough.
But you just think back to KT debuting the strategy and someday diving in on Echo, and they're still hitting the big 3-man Dazzles. Still time to go. Still kinks to be worked out for the ROX Tigers, but they got that chance to get back in the game. They took it out from there. So, game 1, ROX Tigers.
Yeah, well, we'll see if game 2 goes the same way. If Longzhu can improve just slightly, because it was already really strong performance by them. So, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll have game 2 for you guys. Don't go anywhere.